Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Well, if you can't tell by the boxes behind me, I've started another project that I swore I was not going to do this season. I was going to put it off until next season, and then I started thinking about it and started to kind of wonder if it could be done this year. And so here we are. We're gonna attempt it. I've got a lot of building to do, and so we are going to repurpose at least some of the fence, most of all of the fence, and redo the Eternal Acres Cemetery. It's probably going to get a new name. Not sure exactly what that is. Love to hear your comments on what you think the name of the cemetery should be, and I'll take all those in consideration. We'll officially name it before it's done. But I wanted to create another display that would house all of the rest in peace crypts. You've heard me talk about that is my all-time favorite pieces to collect. My absolute number one out of all the series that I do collect, it is the rest in peace crypts that will, for the foreseeable future, always be number one. And so I wanted a place where I could kind of display all of them with a little bit of future growth. And so I've got a display that has started. I've done some cutting. We're starting the initial design phase now. So I've got everything sort of preliminarily set where it may or may not end up going. But let's jump off the tripod and take a look and see where we're at so far. Okay, don't mind the clutter. I've got pieces and parts and boxes and containers everywhere. So I've been working at this for a little bit. This has changed somewhat from the last display. The first thing that has changed is it's a lot bigger. This is a 5-foot long, one single piece of 2-inch styrofoam, and you can see that right here. Okay, so that's the first piece. The other piece was not nearly as big. I don't remember the dimensions on it, quite honestly, but I do know that it was 22 inches in depth. So in order for me to display this in my home, which obviously that's where I want to display it, I've got some parameters that I've got to deal with. The 22 inches is one of them. And so you can kind of see on the side of this display that it is 22 inches. It did not change in depth, and that is because of display space. What did change is I brought it out another 2 inches to 24 inches to add a sidewalk in front. The other one didn't have that. And so I'm going to detail that up with cracks and, a bunch of grass growing up through it and a bunch of fall leaves. You'll see the sidewalk's going to be an integral part of this, especially with the lighting that we're going to talk about. And then underneath this, I put a 1-inch piece of 24-inch foam. So I've got a 1-inch piece of foam under here. This is a sidewalk. You can see it's just kind of cut and laying there. It's nothing's glued. So we've got a 1-inch piece of 24-inch 2-foot by 2-foot section. This one is not. You can see where it's cut out because it's 60 inches in length. So I've got 48 inches going the other direction all the way down to the end. And then this is the remaining, whatever that is, to get 60. Was that 12? I don't know. Public math is not my thing, but it's 60 inches. So that's where we're at with that. So we've got three of the 1-inch pieces of foam underneath. I've got 2 pieces of just slightly over a 1/4 inch by 2-inch sidewalk pieces cut and are laying on. Then I've got the 2-inch piece of XPS foam on top of that. And then as we get to the back of the display, I've got another 1-inch piece of foam, which is 7 inches in depth. That runs the entire 60 inches in length, the entire 5 feet. So that is the display. Now I've tried, let's talk about the lights real quick first before we move on. We've got some old Victorian style lights. Now these are going to be cut and spliced and going straight down through the foam, and you'll never see a cord at all. And obviously I'll show you guys how to do that, but they will be powered still by just one of these connectors. So everything will work itself out as far as power goes. Power is another thing. So it's going to take, I'm going to need 4 of those 3-pronged Department 56 plugs to run everything. And that's not very bad when you think about it. 4 things to plug in to run all of this is not, that's not too bad at all. Pretty good, actually. So you're going to have 4 of those lights kind of on the sidewalk. We're going to have some Department 56 trick-or-treat kids on the sidewalk, you know, walking by the cemetery to get their way home after a hard night of trick-or-treating. And then we start focusing then on let's talk about the entryway. So I'm not sure how I want to do this yet. This is going to be obviously some stairs cut in. And then going back, now you can kind of see preliminarily, I've got some drawings down just to kind of help me to understand. I've still got to do some more drawings before I disassemble this. But we're going to go around this big welcome sign here in the middle, the welcome to the cemetery, kind of the Grim Reaper, whatever that guy standing there, the big angel standing there. And I think he or she is going to be on a bit of a pedestal. Maybe with some flowers around. I don't know yet how that's going to work. I'll just get there when I get there. But that's sort of what I'm envisioning. And then these are all going to be these are all going to be cut cobblestones. These are going to be cut sort of like the old display and then glued into place. That's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be really cool when it's done. So a lot of cobblestones up through here with a cobblestone pathway all the way through the back, all the way to the fence on either side, kind of going either direction. And then we're going to have that same pathway up front where these figurines are sort of sitting, running all the way up to, you know, this path here and then crossing and all the way down. So essentially we're going to have a big eye with a really long top and a really long bottom, and then going through the middle with sort of a rounded space in the middle is sort of the idea. That's all going to be cut individual cobblestones out of this XPS foam. It's going to be glued down, and then after it's glued down and painted, I'm going to take some joint compound or some grout, and I haven't determined which one's going to take. I don't know which one I'm going to use yet. And then I'm going to fill in all the seams with joint compound or grout, and then wipe it clean and you know, wet it and hose it down, whatever I've got to do to make it look right. And so that's going to be a lot of work, and that's why I'm a little afraid starting it this late into the building season for me. I will be decorating inside of 2 weeks, and so I don't know that this will make it or not. I guess we will see. And then so that's kind of the road work or the pathways that are leading to. And then let's talk, then I've got to cut stairways, just a couple of steps into each crypt. You can see it's sort of marked out preliminarily of where things are going to be cut. And so that's coming. That'll be fairly easy. And then this is sort of going to be, unlike the other display that I had, this is going to be like and there's our indie dog. Can you believe she is 15 years old? 15. She is not doing incredibly well. She's got little socks on her feet to keep her from slipping and sliding around on the floor, but she still follows my wife around everywhere. She gets her dog. She follows her everywhere, except right now she's taking a nap. But she's a good girl. She's been with us for 15 years. So, wow, it's crazy. But anyway, this is going to be a retaining wall, unlike the other one. It had some steps and some little bricks carved in occasionally, but this is going to be a full, like, retaining wall with steps cut in it going up to each individual crypt. Okay, so let's talk crypts real quick. Well, before we talk crypts, let's talk fence. So I've got to redo some of the fence. It doesn't fit exactly the way it needs to. I've just kind of placed it around preliminarily, and there is not enough fence, obviously, because this is a much bigger display, and so we have got to get more fence built. So I will be building more fence in the coming days to kind of help fill all this in. I think I'm going to do fence in the back. I haven't fully, if I don't do fence in the back, I don't need to build anymore. I just need to kind of fix what I've got. If I do fence in the back, then I obviously need to build some more. There is going to be a background on this. You've seen the backgrounds that I typically use in my photos. It's going to be that, but it's going to be not permanently affixed. It's going to be on a board that is going to come up and run the whole length of this display and stand up probably, I don't know, a foot or two, at least a foot above the top of the crypts. And then that is going to be in the background there. So it will always have the spooky woods sort of background and backdrop on it. So that's a new feature as well. So that's where we're at on the design process. Now let's talk about the crypts and future-proofing this display, at least for a couple of years. Okay, so I wanted to, for no other reason than just me, start in order. So we've got the 2013 crypt. We've got the 2014 crypt. We're missing the 2015 crypt. Trust me, I have it. I just don't like it. It's the Egyptian theme. It goes with absolutely nothing. And so I don't want to put it in here. I'm torn on that. Let me know in the comments also there what you would do. I don't think it's going to make a difference what you tell me, but I'd like to know anyway. I don't like it. I don't think it goes with it doesn't really go with anything. And so I can't imagine an Egyptian crypt into a cemetery like this. So it's not going in. But let me know what you think anyway. I'm curious. So we go from 2014 to 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. That'll make up the back row. Then we come down here to 2020 in the front. We've got 2021 right here. Then we jump over and we go to 2022, which is Medusa. And then we jump straight into 2023, which is Madame Laveau. And so that is all of the crypts minus the 2015, which I'm not including. However, if you take a step back, this area here, which is going to be all tombstones. Now there's going to be tombstones throughout and trees throughout and grass. I can see it in my head. It's hard to portray on here, but there's going to be a lot of tombstones. It's a graveyard, so there's going to be a lot of tombstones in these areas. However, if you kind of notice the way everything is set and designed, you've got crypt, 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 tombstone. So that area right there is going to be reserved for one more crypt. Then we come over to the front here. You've got crypt, tombstone. One more crypt right in there. Crypt, 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 crypt. That's kind of the way that I've laid this out, at least in my mind. And so we've got an area here, and we've got an area here reserved for two more tombstones, or two more crypts. So that will take me all the way through 25. So 24 and 20, unless they do some crazy circus crypt or some crazy Egyptian crypt or some crazy other crypt that I will get to complete the collection, but I certainly won't go into a cemetery like this. So hopefully they won't do that. But if they do the normal things, then that'll get me to 2024 and 2025, another 2+ years before I have to worry about redesigning. And I don't know at that point that I will. This is 5 foot long. Now, a lot of people is like, well, why don't you go up or why don't you go back farther? And I mean, you can, but I mean, you're just starting to flirt with all kinds of issues there. And I mean, I don't know. We'll see where this progresses eventually, but this is what I'm thinking for now. And interestingly enough, I don't know if you can see, and I'll kind of move some of this stuff. I found this on this board today, which is kind of weird. It tells you what you can use this for use in. It's for use in exterior foundation walls, interior foundation walls, exterior sheeting, cavity walls, commercial applications, and Halloween Villages by Carl. So it's all in there. It's all they know when they manufacture this stuff, what it's going to be used for. So anyhow, there you have it. That's how this is starting to take shape and how it's starting to look. This is the design process. This is where we are in the grand scheme of things with this one today. So let's talk about what's coming next. Okay, so what is coming next? Well, that's a great question. This is obviously going to be another multi-tutorial demonstration to complete this entire project. Now, this is not modular. This is not going to be a modular concept. This is going to be ultimately one large 5-foot by 22-inch piece that is just going to have to stand in a corner of a closet and be dealt with very carefully. The fence, as you guys know, comes off. It's all marked and numbered, and it is. Recreating this from a couple of years ago is going to be the most difficult part for me, is to make a fence that looks just like this again, so you won't really be able to tell otherwise. So obviously I've got some more fencing to do. I've got some carving to do, and there's going to be, the stonework is not going to be the old round stone. It's going to be the square kind of cinder block stone looking brick work, if you will. That's going to be on that 2-inch piece of foam. I've got to carve all that at least on 3 of the 4 sides. I've got to get the back retaining wall carved in the same concept. I got to get the stairs cut. I'll do all that on video, or at least some of it on video. And then once that's done, I think I can then start at least gluing parts and pieces on, perhaps. And I may start just trying to paint everything together on this one. I don't know. I may just put it all down, paint it black, and then start painting as it's already glued down. I don't know yet on that one. We're just going to see how everything works. And then I've got to really start cutting out the cobblestones, and I will probably do that sooner than later because I'm going to need a bunch of them, and cut them out randomly with the hot wire foam table, the Proxon, and get those ready. And then once those go down and are glued on and painted, again, I've got to paint them all black and then paint everything. You'll see, it's coming. There's several tutorials coming for this, and I hope that I can get this one pushed out and done in the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be a lot of work to make that happen. And so we'll see. We'll see how I know I can get it done and displayed before Halloween. That's no problem. But I'd like to get it done in the next couple of weeks, so when we start decorating, it can be displayed as well. May or may not make that, but so there you have it. There is another some tutorials for you guys to look forward to. We're going to recreate the cemetery. Again, let me know in the comments what the name of this cemetery should be. I'm interested in what you think or what your thoughts are in going forward with that, and we'll probably name it out of something that one of you tells me in the comments there. So please make sure you leave those. Hey, and like always, if you've liked this video, make sure you click the like button, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. It's the channel's growing, and it's thanks to folks like you subscribing that's making it possible. I certainly do appreciate it. It certainly helps me out as we go forward as well. And so until we talk again next time, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk again real soon.